Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing part 13 of my Q&As leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 5. This one we're going to be looking ahead a bit. We're going to be talking about some of the events in the comic book series, whether or not we think they're going to occur in the TV series, so spoiler warning possibly for both predictions for TV series, but spoiler warning for a comic book series if you aren't close to caught up. Mainly we're going to be focusing on, will Maggie become the leader, or the television series version of Maggie become the leader of the Hilltop community? Okay, and this question was asked to me by, I believe, a couple people. It's kind of something that we've sort of touched on quickly in the Q&As. So that is Lauren Cohan, with the TV series version of Maggie and the comic book series version, I feel like they're quite a bit different. At least they feel different to me. Now, there are some similarities between both, but with the TV series version, of course, Lauren Cohan's performance as Maggie, the way she plays Maggie and sort of the way they use her in the series. At this point, she's the last surviving member of the Herschel family, right? So sort of that season 2 family. She's the last person alive from that. Now, that said, is she going to go down the same path as the comic book series version, or are they going to give her sort of a different fate, or are they going to have someone else fill those shoes? Now, this is kind of looking ahead a bit. So in terms of what season would this actually occur in if this happened, we're talking way down the road. Not even season 5, not even 6. We're talking like 8, 9, or 10, something like that. That's how far ahead it would have to be, maybe even further, maybe 10, 11, 12, something like that, depending on how they adapt the comic book story to the TV series. Now, another thing that's an unknown is whether or not the TV series version is going to continue to be far different from the comic book series version, because sometimes I feel like the TV series is setting itself apart a lot with the different characters and what they do with them. Good example is Tyrese. Carol is another character that is totally different from the comic book counterpart. And, a lot of the storylines, like you have the Beth storyline, which was added in just recently in season 5. And we've had many others in the past that have gone a lot different from how they did in the comic book series. But I'm wondering, after sort of that season 3 time period, in the future, if they're going to try to stay more closer to the comics, or if they're always going to kind of shake it up and switch out character roles and stuff like that. Because with this one, I personally think it would make a lot of sense for them to swap out somebody like Maggie for Carol. That is, should Carol survive. I just think that as a leader of a big group like the Hilltop, having to be cutthroat, and sort of the decision that Maggie makes in the comic book series, which is that the people of the Hilltop need to help Rick and the group fight against Negan. Even if they all die in the process, they have to take a stab at it. They won't survive in the long run if they keep having to give Negan and the Saviors half of what they're able to farm or get in terms of supplies. They're going to end up, dead sooner or later. Basically, they're going to, as rations run out or as things happen, they're not going to have enough to feed themselves. So Maggie decides to go with Rick, of course, because they've survived a long time together in the comic book series, and they start this whole war thing against Negan, and she kind of takes over leadership of the Hilltop. Now, that to me is hard to envision for Lauren Cohan's Maggie. Now, that's just me at this current time. Now, in a few years, now granted, we're talking like many seasons down the road here. Could even be season 10 or so, right? Which is like double where we're at right now in terms of, and there'll be more episodes, so it'll be even more than double. So this is kind of, predicting a bit early. It's kind of early to say, right? But as of current standing, I can't really see the TV series version of Maggie doing that. Now, she'll have to go through a different character progression, and there can be a lot of evolution in 4 or 5 seasons. So at that point, we could see that, but right now, at the current time, it's pretty hard for me to see that. I don't know about you guys, but I just can't. I can't envision that. I'd like to see somebody like maybe the TV series version of Carol be that character instead. I think that would be really good. Or maybe somebody else as a part of the group, but I don't see Maggie as the type of character to do in the TV series version what the comic book series version did. So in terms of a prediction, I think that we're going to see a switch here. I think we're going to see some kind of a switch, but that's at the same time, there's a lot of unknowns because it's further down the road. We don't know what's going to happen in the meantime. And we also don't know how close the TV series wants to be to the comic book series anymore. I feel like it's kind of hard to gauge where they kind of want to go with that. Sort of the whole direction was always they kind of want it to be different, but they always wanted it to stray back to the same kind of path. Now, we've seen that hasn't really applied, with the way things have gone, at least with regards to characters and what happens to their story arcs are a lot different, like what we're seeing with Sophia now in the comic book series and Carl and the others, much different set of circumstances than could be possible in the TV series unless they swap in another character for Sophia or something. So I'll have to see how it all plays out, but those are my thoughts on it. I can't really envision it so far. That said, there's a lot of time, in between, and we could see some evolution. So I hope that answers your guys' question about that one. Wanted to give my thoughts on that, and it's hard to picture because it's so far ahead. But it's also interesting to kind of think about like which season will be when. Maybe I can do a video giving my predictions on when I think we'll see certain events in the TV series. But that said, not that many people read the comics versus watch the show, so I don't know if it makes sense for that. But speaking of the comics, here is a question. Unfortunately, I forgot to write down the person who asked it. But he said, about the comics, I started watching or reading the comics a few weeks ago, and I'm on issue 68, which is around where the TV series is now. So it's funny that it's not even really halfway through the series, is where he says we're at right now. Currently, I haven't double-checked that. He says, I personally enjoy live action more than reading, and I don't want to be spoiled if I read further into the comic book. What do you think I should do? And this just goes along with what we're just talking about of where's the show going to be at compared to the comics. As you can see from the show and where we're currently at right now, you have different characters surviving, different characters dying, different focuses, and it's kept itself original, although still going down the same kind of storyline with just different characters in different spots and adding in some new characters like Beth, this Carol, and Daryl, and some of the others. I would say continue reading the comic books all the way through, because I don't think you have to worry about the comic books spoiling the TV series for you, versus like a show like Game of Thrones, where if you read A Song of Ice and Fire all the way through, it will spoil the TV series for you. So I feel where you're coming from with that. If you read A Song of Ice and Fire, you're watching the show, the spontaneity of things that happen in the show with major character deaths and stuff, you're going to know all about it. It's not going to be the same, and it does kind of take a bit away because you kind of know what you're expecting to see, right? With the TV series version, I personally don't feel that way. I don't feel like it's the same story overall. I mean, it's so different with regards to the characters and where they're at and what they do and which characters survive and which characters don't. Examples like Andrea, the others I mentioned before, that I feel like, read the comics all the way through. Don't worry about spoilers, because the TV series is still original, even though we have the comic books, to go by. And I think, as a prediction, I think it kind of always will be. I don't think they're ever going to make it exactly the same. I think it's going to continue to be unique in that way that it's going to be so different from the comic book series. I mean, who knows if the TV series will even get to the point in the comic book series that we're at right now. I mean, I think it will, but it's possible we might not even see that. So I guess we'll see how it goes. Next one's from Jaya Nubian, and he says, what do you think is the best Walking Dead opening so far from all seasons? So the best, opening sequence. In terms of the titles, I don't know. It doesn't really matter too much, to tell you the truth, of the credits and titles. I like the one for season 5, actually, like the intro, getting to see Morgan's spot again there near Clear in that. I hope we see some scenes from that. But best opening, I would probably have to go with one of the flashback ones. I really think some of the flashback ones are really, really, really good. Probably the best one would be in season 1. I believe it's season 1, when, I forget which episode exactly, but when Shane goes to tell, Shane tells Lori, and then they have to tell Carl that Rick got shot. I really like that one. I really, really do. I forget which episode. Is it the season 1 finale or one of them? Season 1 had some great, opening credit flashback scenes. We also got to see Atlanta getting napalmed and stuff. Man, they really showed us some cool stuff that season. The reason why is just because that's a new event that was never in the comic book series. It's totally new, and I felt like it added even more to our understanding of Rick and Shane's relationship before the zombie apocalypse occurred. You really get from that scene that this is Rick's best friend, and that he went there. He told her the acting was amazing, Chandler Riggs and everything. It was just a really sad, really touching moment. And it just added to that character dynamic that was Laurie, Shane, and Carl, and kind of gave us a little bit more on how that whole thing came about. You got that love triangle thing that happened in the series. I think that scene was really, really important and something we never got to see in the comics, and I really love that flashback. The more flashbacks we get like that, the better. But there's so many great openings, right, at this point. I mean, it's hard to say, like, which one would be the absolute best. That one, for me, is pretty memorable. The other one, like I said, of Atlanta with them on the road, you get to see Carol there as well. There's Shane, there's Laurie. That was another cool one. Aside from that, I mean, there's lots of others as well, too, that have been good all throughout the series. Some of the best openings we've had. Even the season 5 openings have been amazing to different episodes, for sure. Next one's from Randommzzx, MZZX, and here she says, what do you think is the most underrated episode of The Walking Dead? What do you think is the most overrated episode of the show? That's kind of hard to say. I mean, underrated? To be honest, I thought that Coda was pretty good. A lot of people were really pissed off about it, but I really did like it quite a bit. And that's no BS. I did. I liked it. I mean, you guys have seen my review of Still last season if you've been watching the channel for a while. I don't just spin everything positively. That's not what I do. I know there are some people that do reviews like that. Like no matter what it is, if it totally sucks, they still say it's good. I don't do that, but I love The Walking Dead and the comic series so much that I get so excited for the episodes that, I'm usually satisfied. And Coda, I felt like was pretty good. And I think it might be a bit underrated. That said, it's not perfect. You guys have seen my thing on the bullet hole from Dawn and everything. So there's some problems with it. It's not a perfect episode, but I did think it was pretty good. In terms of overrated, that's tough to say. I mean, The Walking Dead's pretty highly rated all the way throughout. So there's so many good episodes. It's hard to say. Has there ever been like a really bad episode that got rated well? I mean, the season 3 finale didn't get the best ratings, and honestly, it wasn't the best of the series. The season 4 finale was pretty exciting, though. But maybe that was a bit overrated. I mean, I don't know. It's hard because the show's so good all the way through to pick a certain episode and say this was overrated. I can't really think too much. So I'm going to have to move on from that one. Sorry, Randommzzx. That's all I can really say. Next one's from Captain Pork again. And he says, hey, Trev, got another question for your Q&A. I'm wondering what characters you find to be killed off too early in the comics. He says, my top 5 would be number 1, Tobin, number 2, Douglas, number 3, Alice, number 4, Morgan, number 5, Alan. Again, the TV series version will be different, so don't worry about, if you read it, you see what happens with Morgan. That probably won't happen in the TV series, at least not the same way. Definitely not the same way. I would say that Morgan was, though, for sure. Yeah, I would have liked to see Morgan survive for a very long time. I think in the TV series they're going to do that. I think they're going to do that because they have so many episodes. They need to really fill those out. Morgan could be like a character that could take up a lot of episodes because he's so unpredictable and back and forth. Nothing is out of character for Morgan to do. If he becomes a bad guy, if he's a good guy, if he kills somebody for no reason, if he goes crazy, all of those things are within character. Or if he acts totally normal, everything within that is within character. And it could be interesting to see in the series for a long time. So I think we will. But characters killed off too early. Comic book Shane was a straight up asshole, not a very great character, and killed off very early. So that's one I would definitely go with. Comic book Tyrese, I felt like could have gone on for a while longer because he was in a lot of issues and he got a lot of time. And the TV series version of him is so different. Also, by the comic book series, he would have already been dead by now. So yeah, there's that. He also lists Douglas here. Douglas has to be near the top of the list because there was some development with him, some stuff he was talking about, and we never saw like anything of it. He just was killed off pretty quick. So I think in the TV series version we're going to see more from Douglas, and all these other characters will be totally different storylines. He also mentions Alan. Not every character can survive all the way through. I guess it's important, like, which characters do you like the best? And to answer the rest of that, I'd have to get into too much spoilers. So I don't want to get into too much spoilers or anything like that, Captain Pork. So sorry about that. And I guess I'll do one more. Yeah, we'll do one more from Joe Stuckey. And he says, what was your first initial reaction to the news that Andrew Lincoln had been cast as Rick? Did you like the decision? Was it like what people thought of Heath Ledger when he was first cast as the Joker? I would love to hear what your reaction was. Thanks, and continue making incredible videos, man. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so with this one, when the Walking Dead TV series first came out, my expectations were not very high for it. I didn't know how long it was going to last for. It was only 6 episodes the first season. We didn't know what kind of quality it was going to be, that type of thing. And I just had no idea what to expect. So I wasn't really disappointed or let down or anything like that, because I didn't know if I should even get my hopes up for the series, because so many adaptations with TV series are just worthless, like they're not even worth your time watching a lot of times, right? The television series for The Walking Dead definitely is, that's for sure, if you like zombie apocalypse shows. And the comic book series at that point was basically my favorite comic book series of all time I'd ever read. So when it first started, I didn't really get disappointed that Andrew Lincoln was cast, because I didn't really know what the series was going to be like. I didn't know if it was going to last one season like Mob City, because Mob City is a good example because it was with John Bernthal, right? Frank Darabont. Sounded like a great idea, sounded like something that could go on for many seasons. Lasted one season. They blew through it. They put out like two episodes a night. They did it for 3 weeks, and it was done. And we never saw anything of it again. So I didn't get my hopes up at the beginning, because I didn't think that the show was going to last that long. Like, who knows? There's a lot of other shows that have come out in the past that I got really excited for. Smallville was one that I thought was going to be an amazing series. We get to see Superman, like growing up, and, this is going to be awesome and everything like that. And then Smallville was Smallville. And it was like, Smallville. Yeah, not to diss anybody that likes Smallville, but I always use it. I always bash it because it was that. It's something that sounds like it's going to be epic, and it just isn't. It's just very lackluster. Even Arrow's better than Smallville, I would say, for sure already. And Gotham is already, too, better than Smallville, I would say. So I didn't get my hopes up because, who knows what you're going to get, right? You never know until you actually see it. But then the second season came, and it just got better. And the third season was like, blew me away. And at that point, once we got to like the fourth season, I was looking forward to it more than the comic book series originally. Which is a testament to say how hard they've worked at it and how great of a job they've done, that I actually look forward to the TV series more than my favorite comic book series of all time. So that's pretty crazy, right? So yeah, so I didn't really get disappointed. I know what you're talking about with the Joker Heath Ledger thing, but sometimes they cast somebody. I usually do videos on it now and talk about my thoughts on casting. So with Heath Ledger's Joker, he did an amazing job, better than anyone would have thought he would have done at first when we first heard, because it's not a role you commonly see him in. But sometimes people can really surprise you. They put their heart and soul into a role, and it can be something memorable forever, basically. And that's, to me, that will always be Heath Ledger's life's work. I'll always think about his role as a Joker, not 10 Things I Hate About You or anything like that. I think he was in that, wasn't he? In that, I don't know. He was in Brokeback Mountain and stuff. I actually haven't seen that because I don't care for that kind of movie. But anyway. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about all the different questions. What you think about Maggie becoming the leader of the Hilltop, the evolution of her, and if you think we're going to see that, or if you think someone like Carol would be better off, they'd be better off putting someone like her in that role. I think that makes more sense. Let me know what you guys think, and that's pretty much it for this Q&A. Please send me any other video suggestions or Q&A questions you guys have, because I don't have that many. So, it's hard to make videos this time of year, but I want to. So if you have any, send them to me. Send me whatever you got in the About tab of the channel. Use the send message and send me what you got. Anyway, if you guys like the video, please do me a favor, thumb it up below. Please like it. If you want to help support the channel, please share it, favorite it. And that's it for today's, guys. I might see you tomorrow with another one. As always, it's Trev. Same peace.